On today's video, I'm going to be making this neck blank for the custom bass guitar I'm building. And I'm going to be using a new technique I learned about from a comment by the Wild Kitchen 86 on my last short to get perfect edges on the boards I'm joining. The first thing I got to do is figure out exactly how big I'll be making this neck blank. So here we have my neck specs. The black info is from the design we made and the parts that we already have. The red info is from the internet. The red stuff is based off a Fender Precision bass, but not really a specific one. I just looked up specs online and picked ones that seemed good. So hopefully the end product turns out good. So we need to figure out the width, length, and thickness we will be making this blank. So let's start with the width. This bass is going to have a 7-inch wide head, but we aren't going to make the whole neck blank that wide. We'll be gluing ears on the headstock in a later video. What we're going to do is make the neck blank a bit wider than the width of the 24th fret, which is 2 3/8 inches. For the length, we're going to add the length of our fretboard plus the length of our headstock. So that would be 26 3/8 plus 11, 37 3/8 total. We're going to do a scarf joint on this headstock, so I'm going to add in a few extra inches because I think I will need them. So let's go with a minimum of 41 inches. For the thickness, we'll have to draw a diagram. So here I have the length of the fretboard drawn out with the 1st and 12th fret marked. I've also marked the end of the fretboard. Now I'm going to take these calipers and mark the thickness at the 1st fret and 12th fret on the diagram. So according to our notes, our 1st fret thickness is 925 thousandths. So that'll look like that. Our 12th fret thickness is 990 thousandths. So that'll look like that. Now I'm going to draw a line joining these two marks and extending to the end of our fretboard. Now I'm going to measure the distance between these two lines at the end of our fretboard. So that gives us 1.010 inches. Now this measurement also includes our fretboard thickness. So to get the thickness of our neck blank, we need to subtract the thickness of our fretboard from 1.010 inches. Our fretboard is 0.235 inches thick. So when we subtract our fretboard thickness of 0.235 from the overall thickness at the end of our neck, which is 0.010, we get 0.775 inches. So that'll be the thickness of our neck blank at minimum. So let's just write this down on our paper here. Okay, so now we have the minimum size our neck blank needs to be. I'm going to give myself a bit of breathing room and make the dimensions as follows. Width, 2 5/8 inches, minimum. Length, 41 inches plus. Thickness, I'm going to make it 1 inch, then we got some room to work with. Okay, so this is the board I will be making the neck blank out of. It is a flat sawn piece of walnut. It's 66 inches long. It's 5.5 inches wide, and it's just under 1 inch thick. So that's it. Now this is apparently a rough sawn board, so that means it hasn't really been surfaced like the maple board I used to make the body out of. I don't know if you can tell this on video, but this board is mostly straight till it gets to about here, and then it kind of bends. Can you see that? So what we're going to do is actually cut it off right there, and we'll still have more than enough length to make our neck blank out of. So you might be asking yourself, what are you talking about making a neck blank? You can just cut this neck out of this board as it is. Here's the thing. This board is flat sawn. Now, they do make bass necks out of flat sawn maple without any problems. And as far as strength of the wood goes, walnut is almost as strong as maple. So potentially I could just make the neck out of this, but I would rather have the grain oriented more so in a quarter sawn direction. So in order to turn this flat sawn board into a quarter sawn board, which has just a little bit more strength, what I'm going to do is cut this piece into strips, turn the strips 90 degrees, and glue them together. So this is going to turn out to be a laminated neck. So that'll give me a little bit better, in my opinion, grain structure for strength and rigidity. Um, I hope so anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this board off right before it starts bending. From that end all the way to here, it's really straight. So I'm just going to cut off this kind of bent part and we're just going to be dealing with this. So I got my board here and I've marked it out right before it starts bending. And actually it's 43 inches before it starts bending. I only need 41 inches, so I'm just going to make it 43 and we'll have a little bit of extra breathing room. Okay, so this is the board after I cut it, and you can see the grain on it. So what I was talking about earlier about turning this from a flat sawn board into a quarter sawn board, it's not really going to work 100%. It would work for about the distance between my thumb and my finger. But outside of that, you can see the grain actually turns. And I just cut the other end off this board, and you can see that the grain in that side is even more crazy. So this isn't really going to turn out to be like a quarter sawn neck. Now, some of you guys more experienced in woodworking will probably have been able to tell me that just by looking at this board. I'm still going to go ahead and cut this into strips and laminate it, and I hope that that will give me enough stability that I need to make this neck. All right, so you've already seen me use the miter saw. Now you're watching me use the table saw. And I'm not even using a blade guard because I'm trying to get a good shot for my film. But what I want to say to you is if you don't have any experience woodworking and you're thinking about getting into it, please get some in-person training. I know I make using these tools look easy and safe, but honestly, they're very dangerous. And if you don't know how to use them properly, you could be taking some risks that you aren't even aware of. And you could end up hurting yourself permanently disfiguring yourself, and basically putting your guitar playing career to an end. So, to recap, if you don't have any experience using these tools, please get some in-person training. You are worth it. Okay, so this is the 5 boards, and you can see this was the original grain structure of the board. Now, if I turn each one of these 90 degrees, you can see the grain structure is a lot more up and down, and it will be a lot stronger. So, I'm not sure that this is exactly how I'm going to glue these together, because if we turn the board around, you can see this end is a little bit better, but I mean, it's still not great. Like, look at this one. But I think probably what I'll do is I'll put the most up and down straight ones towards the center of this. I'm going to be using a different technique to make this blank than I did for the body blank. I'm actually going to end up gluing this together right now as it is, like without doing all the crazy sanding I did in the last video. And then I'm going to recut these seams. That should give me a perfect edge, but at least according to that comment I received, which honestly it sounds kind of genius to me. Anyways, I'm just going to organize these 5 strips into what I think is the best grain orientation, and then I'm just going to glue them together. Alright, so I have these arranged in what I think will give me the best grain orientation for strength. So that's the one end of the board. Now this is the other end of the board. Admittedly, this end of the board is not looking as great. You can see these kind of switch direction throughout the length of this, so I'm really hoping that by laminating these together, it's going to you know, they're gonna fight against each other and stay straight. We'll see. This will be a learning experience for me and hopefully for you too. We'll see how this base neck holds up over years. But yeah, so this is how I'm gonna glue them together. So without further ado, let's get to the glue up. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this to dry overnight. Then I'm gonna come back and cut all these glue seams again and then reglue it. All right, so I'm getting ready to take these clamps off and cut these boards for the third time. So last time I screwed this up. I'm just going to be a little bit more careful this time. And hopefully I don't screw it up. So I gotta admit, I had to try this technique a couple times because the first couple times I screwed it up. But as you can see right now, I'm not getting any light shining through any of these seams. The reason why I screwed it up is all on me. It's not on the technique. It's because I wasn't being as careful as I needed to be. But now I've got it figured out. We got the glue lines perfect. And I'm just going to glue this up now. So I'm not going to film me glue this up because you already see me glue it up a few times. All right, so here we are. This is my last glue up I've done on this thing. So I'm just going to unclamp it now and just give it a quick sand and just see where we're at. So I sanded the neck blank down a bit just to see what it would look like. And I gotta say, this technique really works well for getting some perfect lines. Turned out really good and I'm happy with the results. So this side is gonna be the side that is the back of the neck. Now when we flip the blank over, I haven't sanded this side as perfectly as the other one, but there are a few imperfections, like those ones there and those ones. I probably should have been more careful when I was gluing this up and, being a little bit more diligent when I was measuring and setting up my table saw. Maybe my table saw is not the most accurate table saw, but you know what? This side of the neck is actually going to get planed down by about a quarter of an inch at minimum and by about, well, more than that at maximum. So I'm hoping that these imperfections will get planed off. And you know what? If it turns out they don't get planed off, this is going to be the side that I'm going to be joining the fretboard to. So it'll just be our little secret between you and me. All in all, I'd say this turned out pretty good, and I'm pretty stoked about it. So in the next few videos, I'm going to be working on this neck. I'll be cutting the scarf joint for the head, gluing the ears on the head, gluing the head on, planing down the neck thickness and the head thickness, and gluing on the head veneer. After that, I'll be gluing on the heel, cutting the truss rod channel, shaping the fretboard, attaching the fretboard, and final shaping the neck. So if you aren't subscribed and want to see how this turns out, make sure to subscribe. And if you are subscribed, thank you for subscribing and watching my videos. Until next week, talk to you later.